Auto Parts.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing catch. Because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards Real Fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Going deep for Worthy, and the rookie hauls it in. That's the longest touchdown pass for Mahomes in a long time.
I mean, I told him if the safety comes down, I'm throwing it pretty much as far as I can and letting him go catch it.
Just having that explosion on the offense is a lot of mouths to feed, so just making the plays when it's my turn is the key.
Your home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the number one motorsports show for over 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod-In Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's Track Talk, and it's all brought to you by Rod-In Supply, featuring the Power Eye Midwest Lightning Sprints. Jay running the show back there at Sports Radio 810 WHB. Todd Surprise running the show here at RBN, the Race Boys Broadcasting Network, and my partner Kirk Elliott for the last 25 years. Kirk, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, it's kind of strange. Our weekend here in Kansas City is really starts on Tuesday night. You know, we got big races in the middle of the week next week, not over this weekend outside of Lucas Oil MLRA down at Lucas Oil Speedway this weekend. Our big events here in Kansas City are like Tuesday, and of course they're going to be at Lucas Oil Speedway on Wednesday and back at I-70 for MLRA on Thursday. So our big races we're looking for are in the middle of the week next week, which is kind of strange for October, but that's the way it sets up.
So
what do you think about that?
I'm looking forward to the high limit race, aren't you, Kirk?
The midweek show at I-70 Speedway. They were last at I-70 back in June, and as we remember, Corey Day won the preliminary night, and Rico won the championship night in the big 2-night weekend back in June. And, of course, since that time, we heard the news that they're going to be cutting down the size of the racetrack at I-70 Speedway.
Right.
We broke that news from Casey Schumann several weeks ago.
I think that is really good news, Kirk, because
I think so, too.
The feedback that I'm getting from a lot of the fans that are out there, the racetrack is too big.
Yeah. Yeah, they built it too big. We said so at the time, by the way. You said so.
Right.
I said so. You know, it was just too fast. And the example of that was when the Lucas Oil late models were there a couple of years ago, and Brandon Shepard was leading the race. All the drivers were overheating. It was a hot night, but Brandon Shepard, while leading the race, blew his engine. And that, I think that was a good indication this is too big, too fast. And what made it fast is the straightaways are banked.
You know what a lot of people
don't let off the throttle.
You know what a lot of people don't like, Kirk, is that they have to hold their car wide open all the way around that racetrack, and that puts a lot of taxing, puts a lot of energy on that motor.
It does.
It does.
And so I think Casey Schumann's doing a great job out there as the general manager, and he was struggling to book big events with the racetrack the way it was, and by the new plans of cutting the size of the track, I think it's going to help that facility immensely. So we're looking forward to seeing the work that gets done in the off season after these two shows coming up next week, and look forward to next year. And I think he's going to have an easier time booking big events at a smaller racetrack out there. The facility is second to none.
Right.
I mean, you look at the grandstands, it's great.
Kirk, it's only second to none to Lucas Oil Speedway.
Yeah, Lucas Oil Speedway is in a
the
class
diamond
by
of
itself.
dirt tracks,
yeah.
right?
So we're going to see two great facilities host events this coming week, two in the high limit series, and they're coming back to I-70 Speedway for the MLRA show on Thursday night. So big events, and looks like the weather's going to hold up next weekend. Keep your fingers crossed. It's been beautiful so far here in the last few weeks, hasn't it?
It's been beautiful this week, just so you know.
Had a great weekend out at Kansas Speedway. Couldn't ask for better weather for all the events out there. The racing was great. Probably not as good as the spring race, but what race is better than the 1/1000th of a second win by Kyle Larson over Chris Buescher in the spring? But still, it was an entertaining weekend at Kansas Speedway. The Cup race won by Ross Chastain, and the weather cooperated greatly out there.
Hey, Kirk, the big news this week in NASCAR is that the 2311 team is suing NASCAR.
And
right?
Front Row Motorsports, too.
And Front Row Motorsports.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
What is going on there, Kirk? Break that down for me.
How do you think this is going to turn out? I don't think it's going to turn out well for 2311 or Front Row, and here's why.
Right.
They're not only suing NASCAR and Jim France over antitrust, but they have to hope that an injunction comes about to allow them to still compete next year without the charter.
Right.
Without the signed charter. Those two teams did not sign the new charter like the other teams
Why
did.
didn't they sign it, Kirk?
Because they didn't like the terms of the charter. And it's probably not perfect. I've heard other team owners come out and said it's not perfect, but every one of the team owners that did sign the new charter is saying there has to be an end to the negotiations at some point or you'd still be negotiating. So you got to take what you can get and move on. And that's what the other team owners did. And here's why I think this is a flawed strategy by Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, and Bob Jenkins of Front Row Motorsports is because
Todd wants to jump in.
If an injunction does happen and they force NASCAR to allow 2311 and Front Row Motorsports to work under the new charter, how do you think this is going to work out when they go through the tech line and maybe they're not getting the same kind of treatment as the other team owners did?
Right. Todd wants to jump in.
Alls I know is, let me turn my mic now. Alls I know is, from what I've been able to find out, I know some of these other charter teams are like, yeah, go ahead and do that.
Right.
They never would do it because they did not want to be the one to, push that. So if that they're in a no-lose situation, all these other charter teams are, because here's why. If they go ahead and break up this thing, it's all open and everybody's, they kind of get what they want. The France family doesn't. But if they shut down this thing and really
the France family wants the money.
Yeah, so if they shut down the 23 team, 11 team, they do that, and all the other teams will be like, yeah, we're behind you. We were never, that's why we saw, and so they're in a no-lose situation, and I believe, in my heart of hearts, I don't think the France family wants the records to be opened up, the books to be open, for everybody to see how much money they're making and how much money gets passed to certain people. That's my personal opinion. But from what I've been reading, I think that if that goes to court, I think there's going to be a settlement. I think they're going to settle, and they're going to.
What do you think, Kurt?
I know he doesn't believe that, but I honestly think that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's what I believe.
Private organization. NASCAR is a private organization. There's no monopoly here because there are other forms of racing that they could go to. There's nothing keeping them from not doing business as a race team. NASCAR's got the playing field. It's their bandbox. You either come and play in it or you go race somewhere else. I just don't see how the courts are going to declare that this is a monopoly, because I don't believe it is.
But do you think?
And you can find that story on racingboys.com as well.
Yeah, that's what we're showing it. Right. I just don't think the people really want to know. The people that run the show don't want their records shown what truly
how much money they're making.
It's kind of like I'll scale it down to how the Racing Boys secret was so secretive about what the Chili Bowl brought in. I didn't even know what we brought in, and I'm an employee here. You know what I mean? I was kept out of loop because everybody needs that number. I mean, you get to Todd and find out what they're doing. I mean, literally, as well as I do, Scott. Those numbers that you guys had for the Chili Bowl, you guys kept those numbers close to the vest.
It's not hard to guess how much money is coming in based on the public information of the contracts that are signed with the TV networks.
I get it.
We can all guess what the amount of money coming in is. It's a lot more than the grandstand gate at a lot of these racetracks. And NASCAR, along with Marcus Smith, SMI own all the racetracks. So they not only own the sanctioning body, but they own a lot of the racetracks, including Kansas Speedway and Iowa Speedway, and they have a choice to go either
Kurt,
race NASCAR or race somewhere else.
This brings up the question: is there a monopoly on the racetracks that are owned around the country? Do you think so? Do you think there's a monopoly?
No, there's not a monopoly.
Why would you say that?
Not. Because they're
SMI
is not a part of the ownership group of NASCAR. SMI has their own racetracks. NASCAR has I don't have the exact figure of the number of racetracks that they own where the Cup Series participates, but it's about the same as SMI and Marcus Smith. And the SMI organization they're not part of the ownership group of NASCAR. So I don't think they can claim the monopoly. The way I see all this, the only winners will be the lawyers that filed the lawsuit. And I don't think this is going to last very long, because even if an injunction is passed, even if they do issue an injunction, which I don't think they will, I just think that NASCAR has the upper hand here.
Kirk, you're all about the attorneys making the money, aren't you?
They're usually the ones that only
come
out. The attorneys
on top.
Are the only ones that usually come out the winners.
Right.
So, and the other owners are sitting back and seeing how this all plays out. They're not really coming out and saying what I'm saying, but they all know what the outcome is going to be. We've seen this before. I remember back when Talladega was first opened up. And if you remember, the first race didn't go well, and a lot of the drivers
they went three-wide racing.
They walked out. Talladega didn't race, and so Big Bill France said, "Okay, we're gonna bring in some other drivers to race the race." And
they brought in the Camaros and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah,
right.
So, and we all know how that worked out. So
it didn't work out very good.
NASCAR is a privately owned organization, and you have a choice. You can race NASCAR, or you can go World of Outlaw Sprint Car Racing, or you can go race with the Indy cars or sports cars, or take your pick. Go Formula One racing. You have choices.
Kirk, this brings up the question. Do you think ultimately Kyle Larson is going to go sprint car racing? Do you think so?
I would say, yeah, one day in the not-so-distant future, I'm going to say within maybe 5 years, that Kyle will have enough of NASCAR, he'll have enough money, and he'll just go back to sprint car racing. Yeah, I can see that happen. I don't see Kyle Larson racing for the next 10 years
in NASCAR.
Or 15 years in NASCAR. Do you?
No, I don't see it either.
So I think that he certainly could be racing NASCAR for the next 3 or 4 years, but 5 years from now, yeah, I could see Kyle Larson saying, "I've had enough of this, got enough money, I'm going sprint car racing."
Hey,
sure.
Kirk, let's talk a little bit about that midget race last night. Zach Dahm ended up winning the race, but Gavin Miller and Ryan Timms took each other out there at the end.
This was the Extreme Outlaw Midget Series season finale weekend at Jacksonville Speedway in Illinois. And that racetrack had a big cushion on it last night.
Man, it was gnarly.
I was surprised to see that at Jacksonville.
Right.
Especially, I mean, we haven't had a whole lot of rain in this part of the world lately, but that thing had a big curb on it.
Who do you think was more at fault in taking out? Do you think it was Gavin Miller taking out Ryan Timms?
Yeah. I think here's what happened. Ryan Timms took the lead about halfway through. He was battling with Zach Dahm. And Ryan Timms, using the high side, he was riding it up on the cushion and powered into the lead. And we're coming down to the white flag lap, and Gavin Miller throws a bomb coming out of turn number 4, a big slide job. And he didn't quite get him cleared, collected Ryan Timms, and both went down to the inside. And here comes Zach Dahm, who had been running in third place, slides right onto the checkered flag to win. So I would blame Gavin Miller more for that because he's the one that threw the bomb.
Right.
Don't you think?
We're waiting for the bomb to be thrown right
We're
here
watching
on the video.
Yeah, for those of you online, we've got the video up there. But I think it was all Gavin Miller. I think he who initiates the slide job and takes out the guy you're trying to pass, I think all the blame goes to Gavin Miller.
I buy that too as well,
Yeah.
Kirk. I think that Gavin Miller is the fault of that racing incident, and unfortunately for Ryan Timms, he was taken out. He was leading the race, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah.
And Zach Dahm was the winner. But that pales in comparison of what we saw last Saturday night, or Sunday night, at the dirt track at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the finish that we saw there with Cannon McIntosh taking the lead from Chase McDermott on the final lap and holding off Jade Abedisian to win the BC 39, one of midget racing's crown jewel events, $20,000 to the winner, Cannon McIntosh. What did you think about that finish? It was a cowboy up racetrack. They'd had a lot of rain at Indianapolis last weekend, and that racetrack was rough, but for the race fans, they were entertained by what happened. First of all, they were lucky to get that event in.
They were very lucky to get that event.
Very fortunate to get it in because they almost pulled the plug on it on Sunday, but thank God they did, and what a show that was. And as impressive as Cannon McIntosh was winning that race, equally as impressive, Jade Abedisian, the job that she did, and she came within almost a car length of pulling off what would have been a monumental victory for one of the most talented lady racers out there. Jade Abedisian put on a show, as well as Cannon McIntosh on Sunday night.
I think Jade is, to be honest with you, I think Jade Abedisian is the, outside of that Isabella that ran out there at Kansas Speedway, I think that Jade Abedisian is the next up-and-coming driver, don't you think?
She has been racing a lot of midgets this year. Of course, we remember her when she qualified for the Chili Bowl final a couple of years ago.
Right.
And she won the Extreme Midget Championship last year. She's not running as much midgets this year. She's racing some pavement stuff, some road racing, and I just caution, though, Jade's plan of attack here. She's still a pretty young woman. What is she, 18 right now?
Right.
She's got time. I worry that she may be moving too fast too soon, But I think eventually she's going to get to where she needs to be. I just hope that it's not.
I think she's the next up-and-coming driver in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I just want to take things one step at a time with her, though. Just make sure you're following all the steps for success in what she's doing now, and then move up. Don't move up too fast too soon. That's my only concern with Jade.
Right.
But she's got talent. And here's the thing that impresses me the most about her is she showed determination, unlike even a lot of guys you see out there racing.
Right.
She didn't give up. That was a rough racetrack.
That was a terrible racetrack, Kirk.
But she was so determined, her competitive drive stands out of all the lady racers I've seen out there. Would you agree?
No, I would agree with that. Hey, Kirk, last night at Williams Grove, Fog was the issue last night, and they didn't run the race. They're going to run it tonight, though, right?
Yeah, here's what's going to happen. They got as far as the dash. They had the dash, the B main, and the A main.
And the C main. They ran the C main.
They ran the C main. They just finished the C main.
Right.
So they had the dash, the B main, and the A main at Williams Grove Speedway last night. And the fog had really set in before that. They got through the C main, but it got to the point to where these guys just couldn't see. And so they waited it out, thinking the fog would lift, but it never did.
It set in.
It set in, and so...
And they couldn't run the race.
Johnny Gibson comes on the PA and said, it looks like it set in for the night, so here's what we're going to do. They're going to have hot laps at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern. And so they're going to finish up what they didn't get completed last night, which is the dash, the B. They call it the Last Chance Showdown. I still call it the B main.
Right.
It's the B main to me. And the A feature.
They try to be tricky with the words and call it the Last Chance Showdown, don't they?
World Racing Group likes to call their B mains Last Chance Showdown. So,
right.
But to me, it's the B main. So anyway, they're going to finish up that show. They're going to clear the grandstand and then come back and do the regular Saturday night show. And this is a big one. This is a crown jewel for the Wing Sprint cars. It's the National Open, and it pays $75,000 to win. And so we're going to see that tonight. Brent Marks is the defending winner of this event. But Brent Marks hasn't really had all that great of a year this year. But he did qualify number 1 in Group B, so he's got a fast enough race car. And so Brent Marks is going to be a player, even though his season has not gone according to his plan. So we'll see how things go tonight at Williams Grove Speedway. I hope we don't have fog problems tonight. And
hopefully we don't.
Get in the event. But it's hard to predict this event, Scott, because this is such a – you've been there, Williams Grove Speedway. It's a tricky track to get. It's a big half-mile, long straightaways, but you got to have your car set up right, and you got to hit all the marks perfectly.
The corners are really tight, Kurt.
Yeah.
So, they lift the right front tire off the ground going down the front straightaway. Do you know that, Kurt?
They do.
Yeah.
We saw one guy had the all the way down the front straightaway. Who was that had the front wheels completely off the ground?
No, I'm not sure.
I forgot who it was last night. So we'll see how it goes. Darren Pittman is one guy I'm keeping my eye on. He has never won the National Open, but if you remember at Knoxville, he had a fast race car at Knoxville.
Right.
And had a shot. And Darren Pittman is kind of semi-retired. He's a former champion of the World of Outlaws. And he's won a couple of big events. He's won like the King's Royal at Eldora.
Right.
And he won the historical big one time. He's a former World of Outlaw champion. But he's in a Pennsylvania car, the Don Kreitz 69K car. That's had a lot of history of doing well. Remember a couple of years ago, Lance DeWeese won the National Open in that car. Can Darren Pittman right off into the sunset because he said if he wins this race, he will be done as a driver. Wouldn't that be a big story if Darren Pittman were able to pull that off tonight?
That would be great. You're listening to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. When we come back, we're going to play an interview that we did on Monday with Corey Day. Corey Day is coming up next right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications.
2 minutes, 30 seconds, gentlemen.
Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Nearly 50 years ago, Wholesale Batteries opened their doors and sold their first battery. Times have changed, but our commitment to customer service is the same. With trusted brands like C&D, Odyssey, Enersys, PowerSonic, CSB, Leosh, Uwasa, and East Pandeca, serving commercial, industrial, OEM, and retail customers. From automotive, marine, RV, power sports, emergency lighting, mobility, telecommunications, and UPS. Wholesale Batteries, any battery, anytime, delivered anywhere at wholesalebatteries.net.
Get ready for your next adventure during the Big O Tires Outdoor and Off-Road Sale. For a limited time, score up to $100 in instant savings on some of the best tire brands in the industry. Plus, Big O Tires offers expert service on brakes, alignments, oil changes, and more. No matter what kind of service your vehicle needs, Big O Tires has got you covered. They also have flexible financing options, including 12 months, no interest for qualified buyers. Visit one of their locally owned locations today. Make an appointment right now at BigOTires.com. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Men, do you suffer from prostate symptoms like difficulty urinating, trips to the bathroom at night, or feel a frequent need to go? I'm Dr. Travis Brown with Miva Medical. If you suffer from prostate symptoms or have been told you may need surgery for an enlarged prostate, I'd like to offer you a new, minimally invasive option to shrink your prostate and reduce or eliminate your symptoms. It's a simple, outpatient procedure covered by insurance. No stitches, no surgery, just relief. If you're interested in learning more, visit us online at miva-medical.com. That's MIVA-medical.com.
When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Going deep for Worthy, and the rookie holds it in.
20 seconds, gentlemen.
Pass for Mahomes in a long time.
I mean, I told him if the safety comes out, I'm throwing it pretty much as far as I can and letting him go catch it.
Just having that explosion on the offense is a lot of mouths to feed, so just making the plays when it's my turn is the key.
Your home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Kirk, we had an interview that we did with Corey Day.
Yeah, he is a future NASCAR star, shall we say. He's under the umbrella of Hendrick Motorsports. We saw him out at Kansas Speedway running both the ARCA and the Truck Series events. He was a big factor in the ARCA race. Got into an incident in the truck race and didn't finish the race, but he is an impressive young driver at 18 years of age. He's won 7 events on the High Limit Sprint Car Series. We'll see him out here at I-70 Speedway on Tuesday night. He won the preliminary race at I-70 back in June, and on Monday we had Corey Day, one of the young stars of all of racing on Mostly Motorsports, and here's a portion of that conversation.
Hey, what do you think about Kansas Speedway? Is that a track that suits your style a little bit?
Yeah, I had a blast. In the ARCA car and the truck. You can, get up and run the fence and run a lot of throttle, and, you feel like you're driving the car hard, whereas, on the short track stuff, you got to lift and run a lot of brake, and, that's coming from the sprint car side, that's not really my speed. Running, a lot of throttle is. So, I had a had a great time. I thought it was awesome. You can run all over the place on that track, and I had a really good HendrickCars.com Chevy all weekend. So it was a lot of fun.
How comfortable were you running up there by the wall? Just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was really comfortable. That's, I'd rather run the wall than run anywhere else on the track, almost at any racetrack. So, I had a blast, like I said.
All right, that truck race, that was not your fault. That 42 truck came out there and tapped you. You were up alongside Taylor Gray there, and the 42 truck got into the back of you. That was not your fault. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, I don't really know what happened to him, if something broke or exactly what went wrong on the 42, but I was just, grabbing the air off that 17 truck, and next thing I know, I'm sideways, and then I'm in the wall. So, I wasn't sure what happened until I saw the video, but I don't think that was my fault at all. Just a victim of circumstance, I guess.
All right, before we get into sprint car racing, which we really want to talk about, I just want to ask you, what is your overall impressions? What did you learn the most from the 2 weekends at Bristol and at Kansas Speedway that you didn't know before?
Got to do some pit stops. I think that was a big, learning thing for me, just how they work and the sequence of what you have to do in the car. And then this weekend I learned, the air factor of the pavement racing. There's dirty air in sprint car racings, but there's no draft. There's no way to gain something on someone, like there is on the pavement. So learning that this weekend was big, and this stuff's not easy. Learned that as well.
The save that you had in that ARCA race, you had that car completely sideways, and you were able to save that race car. How did you do it?
Just being a sprint car driver, I guess. More
right.
Sideways than I am straight.
Hey, talk about you're coming back with the High Limit Series to I-70 Speedway. That's one of our local racetracks. What do you think about I-70 Speedway?
You won there the last time you were there, didn't you?
Yeah, we won there last time. We won the prelim night of the race, but I think it's a good track. It can get actually pretty wide and racy. It just depends on the night. I've seen it be really good, and I've seen it be not so fun. So I'll be curious to see what we get come this weekend there or next weekend. But overall I like it. Our race car has a lot of speed there, so I always enjoy, going to tracks that we're good at.
You've been so successful in your sprint car. Just talk about that a little bit. You've had so much success in that sprint car.
Yeah, it's been a really, really good year for us. Me and my crew chief Shane Bowers really just gelled this year, and been able to go to new tracks and figure them out quick. We haven't really struggled. There's been a few that of course you struggle at, but overall I think it's been a really, really good year with nine sprint car wins, or I think it's 9, and just on the national level and racing in the Midwest is huge to accomplish that. So thanks to Jason Myers and Preston Cross for giving us the tools to go do what we do every weekend, and we got I think 4 more races left here, so we'll try and make the best of them.
What impact has Jason Myers been to you and your development as a sprint car driver?
Yeah, he's been huge. I'd say more so on the how to handle yourself out of the race car side of things, and in the car. I raced with my dad for the first 5 years of my career pretty much, so he was a bigger part in helping develop me and my racecraft. But Jason recently, when we go to these places that he's been to, it's always been good to be able to call Jason and just ask him some questions about, what he thinks about him, and if there's any, weird kink the track has that, you'd only know if you'd been there before. So, definitely been a huge part in my career for sure.
Hey, what is the number one thing that your dad has taught you?
I can't really say the number one thing. He's taught me too much to put a number or put something at number one.
And that's wide-ranging. And I think that's a great answer, too, because he's your dad. So, I mean, just everything about life he would have to have an impact, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's talk about some of these big wins you had. You won the Gold Cup for the second year in a row. You won a big money race at Skagit. But, the one race that really sticks in my mind is when you showed up at Lake Ozark Speedway here this summer and you weren't able to post a time trial lap because I think when you have a drive line or something come out of the car. I can't remember the last time I saw someone come back to win an A main without posting a time trial lap, but you were able to do it that night. And some of the moves that you made in the A feature just were epic.
Fantastic.
The way you made that pass for the lead, that's a race that really sticks out in my mind. What was it about coming back, rallying back from not being able to post a time trial lap to win the A main that night at Lake Ozark?
We broke a rear end there on my out lap for qualifying. So didn't get a lap, and luckily Lake Ozark Speedway was really, really racy and had a top and had a bottom, and was able to get to I want to say get to third in our heat race, maybe it was fourth, and so started 15th. Luckily, heat race finishing spots determine where you start in the main and not your qualifying lap. And then just, reworked the track from what I can remember before the race. And, I don't really know why, but everyone was kind of just around the bottom there early. And I think I passed 7 cars just around the top, in the first 4 or 5 laps. I just had a really, really good race car too. And, that always helps. And, and then just got to 8th on a restart with, still a long way to go in the race, and drove around some more cars, and then we had another restart, and I was in 4th, and then, I knew just being able to restart up on the curb and in 3 and 4 and get a run down the front straightaway, I knew I'd clear 3rd place by the flag stand, and I knew that, I think it was Cole Macedo and Justin Peck on the front row. I knew one of them was going to slide one another, so I just, went in there and ran up over the cushion and turned down, and that's exactly what they did, and I was leading off of turn 2.
Well, that was a memorable race, but the other big memory this year was in mid-June. You were at Knoxville, 65-plus race cars. Everybody who was anybody was there, including Kyle Larson, and you won at Knoxville that night. How big was that in your preparation for the Nationals? You came back, finished 3rd in the Nationals, but talk about that night in June where you outran Logan Schuart and you held off Schatz and Larson to win the A-Main that night.
Yeah, that was, I chalked that up as one of the biggest wins in my career for sure with, like you said, the competition-wise. So, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but, this year we just figured out a really good package on our race car for Knoxville, and that's the thing that's a misconception with these big tracks to fans and the outside people that look in is it's 70% your race car. If you don't have a race car that can go faster on a half mile, Knoxville's kind of its own beast and there's a technique to it, but other than that, as a driver, a half mile is easy. You just hold your foot on the floor and hold the thing as straight as possible. So if you don't have a race car that's capable of going fast, then you can be a top 3 driver and you'll end up in a B main because there's just nothing you can do. So luckily we just found something in Knoxville this year that works really, really good on our 14 car, and I was just able to put it all together that night. it had a big curb in 1 and 2, and I love that, and I don't think there's anyone better at me at running a curb, and I was just able to show that night, and like you said, there was a restart with, I want to say it was 3 to go, and when you look at the scoreboard and you see Donnie Schatz is restarting right behind you at Knoxville, it's definitely an uneasy feeling. So that was really cool to be able to hold them off and win that, and definitely one of the biggest ones in my career.
Talk about your run up there at Skagit Speedway. We did the ASCS National Sprint Car Tour up there. We did that broadcast up there for many years, and Skagit Speedway is a pretty special place, isn't it?
Yeah, I love Skagit. It's definitely one of my top 5 favorite tracks in the country. It's the surface is great. It's real scenic. The weather's always nice up there, even midsummer. So. I think I'll go race. If I'm not doing any pavement stuff and I'm, that weekend of Huset's or Skagit, I think I'll go to Skagit every single year. So, just a great place, and Dirt Cup eluded me for 2 years there. It was close and just never did anything, or never could do anything that, we really had time to, or had a chance to win. I felt like we were always good enough to win, but the cards just never fell in the right direction for us to do it. So this year, going into it, we knew we had a shot, and luckily it was able to all play out, and being able to go there for 3 years, our race car was really, really good all 3 nights, and that always helps. So I was just really, really proud to get that one. Like I said, it eluded me for a couple years, so that one meant a lot.
Hey, picking up $62,000 isn't too bad,
No, it was actually like $79,600 because there was lap money.
Right.
Yeah, it's better than that. Then, of course, the big money at the Gold Cup as well. When will we see you back in a pavement car?
I run Homestead on the 25th or 26th in the truck, one of those 2 days.
Corey Day, he is, I think he's a can't miss.
How long was that interview, Todd?
Total interview?
That thing was a lot longer. We cut that thing down. I think it was probably 20. We told him we were going to keep him 15 minutes. We ended up, obviously, once he figured out we were talking a lot of dirt racing and not just NASCAR, he had no problem. So we had him scheduled 15. We kept him 20, and we just played about 13. So,
13
and if you
minutes.
want to listen to the entire interview, go to racingboys.com in the podcast section, the most recent podcast. It's all up there.
Yes, sir.
So we play highlights of the interviews here on Saturday morning, not the entire interviews. So if you want to listen to the entire podcast of Mostly Motorsports, racingboys.com.
Episode number 330, if that's the episode you're looking for.
330.
Episode 330 with Corey Day.
Can you imagine we've done 330 broadcasts?
A lot of broadcasts.
We did a lot of those broadcasts by myself over the years, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
He's 18 years old. Does he seem like he's 18?
At the beginning of the interview.
You're looking at him and talk to him, you'd swear he's 25 to 30.
Yeah. At the beginning of the interview, he sounded young, and then by the end of the interview,
he sounded old.
He just sounded like one of these other old dirt race car drivers. But no, I have an 18-year-old home, and he's very wise and very mature for his age. And it's just strange hearing all these kids that are. I just know how I was at 18, and I was nothing like that.
Yeah, Xavier Doney is the other one we've had on. These kids are. Yep. They're more advanced at 18 than we ever were.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, I think they grow up so much faster now. They get a lot of things thrown at them. So,
it's because they're in the racing world, and they
everything accelerates faster now.
Accelerates a lot faster.
It really does.
You said it best, Todd.
To me, everything. I mean, and it isn't just the racing world. You can look at kids playing drums, guitars, piano. There's
6-year-old kids playing the drums like I can't play them.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you want to see what I call a phenom and the next big thing, head out to I-70 Speedway on Tuesday night, a place where he's already been successful at, and you can see his young talent on display. He is, I think he's special. So we'll see him on Tuesday and Wednesday. He's going to be down at Lucas Oil Speedway, too,
right,
on Wednesday night.
Sprint Car Hall of Fame, Kurt?
We've got pictures of the new Corvette that they're going to be giving away next August. Another Corvette is going to be given away. It's a different color. Is that yellow?
It's yellow.
And it is a ZR1.
Yeah, this is
2025 Corvette ZR1 that they're going to be giving away. And you can enter today, even though we don't draw for it till next August. And if you put in a promo code FALL20, you get 20% more tickets. And it's this car's got 1,064 horsepower, 5.5
Can you imagine
liter.
that? 1,064 horsepower?
That's crazy.
Right.
Twin turbo with flat plane crankshaft, 8-speed dual clutch transmission, ZTK performance package, carbon ceramic brakes, front left adjustable height memory,
I can't
split
afford-
rear window and hatch intakes,
It's a race car.
performance exhaust system. That's what this car's got.
Yeah, it's a race car, guys. That's what it is. It's a high-end.
That's just a race car.
Yeah, and we're talking not a race car like you see at the racetrack around here. We're talking this is a beast, man. I did a little bit of reading on this thing. I mean, look at the engine. We're looking at the engine compartment.
Right.
Like you said, they're giving, and the cool thing, you guys, they're throwing in an extra $5,000 this year to help pay for the
They're paying
taxes.
$30,000 this year.
How about that? Throw another $5,000 in there.
They paid $25,000 last year, and they're paying $30,000 this year.
For the last few years, it's been $25,000. So
We've
it's
got inflation. I guess that's
yeah,
that's the way that works.
Well, that car's probably another $5,000 worth more taxes, I'm sure.
Right, yeah.
And they're still doing the sprint car giveaway as well.
Yes, of course, win a Corvette.com, win a SprintCar.com for the 410 Wing Sprint Car, race-ready sprint car. It's a XXX chassis with an Al Parker racing engine. They're going to draw for this 2 days before Christmas on December the 23rd. Go to winasprintcar.com to get registered for that. Of course, all the proceeds go to the betterment of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. The Dennis Allbaugh Suite Tower is well underway, and that's going to be finished up soon. And a lot of great things going on at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Check out their gift shop. Go to sprintcarstuff.com. And the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, even though the season's over, the museum is open year-round outside of
24/7
holidays. Yeah,
right.
So check it out, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to play Pat Sullivan, right? Is that right, Kurt?
Yes, he is one of the big voices of USAC. Worked with Brian Holbert on the PA call at the BC 39, and we had Pat Sullivan on Mostly Motorsports, and we'll hear part of that interview coming up.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Track Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. When we come back, Pat Sullivan joins us next here on Track Talk.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. Get her done!
Rod End Supply is it?
All right, 2 minutes, gentlemen, and we need to be up by 57:30 for college game day.
10-4. Perfect. Gotcha.
Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply is an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
You know the only place you can get USDA Choice certified Hereford beef, the finest beef around, is at your neighborhood hen house. And there's always great specials at the Butcher Block, like those 10-ounce KC strips. They're just $7. Choose your own size, $10.99 a pound. 93% lean ground beef, ground fresh several times each day, perfect for tacos, just $4.99 a pound. And all-natural pork tenderloin, it's only $2.59 a pound. Find all these great specials and much more at henhouse.com. Hen House, proudly serving Kansas City since 1923.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
After my car wreck, there was a lot I didn't know.
I do know. My team knows injury law. We can help you understand all of your legal rights so that you don't get cheated.
DM Law knew what to do and got me $500,000 from my car wreck.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Dreaming of a summer oasis in your own backyard? Pro-Built Pool and Patio has incredible savings on fiberglass pools. Get up to $5,000 off select brands. Already have a pool? Come check out their amazing pool floats and bring your pool water for a free water analysis. Dive into savings before the sale ends.
15 seconds.
Wait, Northwest Gateway Ave in Riverside, Missouri. Just look for the palm trees or shop online anytime at ProBuiltPatio.com. That's ProBuiltPatio.com. Don't miss out. Pro-Built Pool and Patio. Your summer starts here.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, and it's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. Kirk, we had a chance to talk to Pat Sullivan.
We did. Pat Sullivan, one of the big voices for many decades, the USAC, United States Auto Club is what USAC stands for.
Spit it out, Kurt.
Anyway, one of the big crown jewel events for all of midget racing, the BC 39 was held on Sunday night at the dirt track in Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and a classic finish won by Cannon McIntosh, holding off Jade Abedishian. On Monday's Mostly Motorsports show, we recap the big race with Pat Sullivan, and here's part of that interview. I mean, that finish just defies all explanation. I mean, my jaw was absolutely on the floor watching the end of that race. Cannon McIntosh holding off Jade Abedishian at the end. It sure looked like Chase McDermott had this thing covered, but man, that and hats off to the track prep crew with all the rain that fell at Indianapolis, that they were able to get this in at all last night was a miracle.
Hey, Jade really, she had her elbows up, didn't she?
Oh my God. First of all, back to the track. It was reminiscent of something that happened the very first BC 39 that Brady Bacon won, and that is something that probably gets overlooked, and that is that Scott Petrie, who has an excavating business, I think it was Scott who was responsible for actually putting some drains in that racetrack, believe it or not. So that was key. We had Reese O'Connor from Kokomo Speedway, and he sealed that thing up after Thursday's show. And so even Saturday at around 1, it started raining again. It wasn't hard, but it rained. But Tommy Estes Jr., who also does work for USAC, came in and says, we can still run on that racetrack right now with a little bit of work. Now, was it an interesting cowboy? It was. Yeah, but the commitment was there, and to me, the racetrack itself, I mean, I might feel differently if I was a driver or an owner, but I'm just telling you that the racetrack itself contributed to the show.
Oh, yeah.
Because, my God, they were bouncing and bounding around, and Jade, the great thing about being on a lift, we were, Brian Holbert and I were on a lift, and we could look down to see her slashing at the wheel and her just not giving up was just priceless. And Cannon didn't give up. And you're right. I felt terrible for Chase McDermott. Just one bobble there made a difference, but it made for great theater.
I was a little surprised that Dason Pursley wasn't more competitive. He ended up running fourth. He started second. He ended up running fourth, but I was a little surprised by that. Were you a little surprised by that as well?
A little bit, because he's been so good. I mean, he's just had a phenomenal year about everything he's touched, and including he's also won in a wing car this year against a really good field. So a little bit. In fact, I saw Clint afterwards, and I patted him on the back and said Dason had a good weekend, which he did. Clint's a really pleasant human being, and he agreed. But I must confess, I sort of forgot about him, and that was a bit surprising. Kevin Thomas Jr. was actually good all weekend, and he was still in the top 5. But it was It was not for the timid. Midget racing is not for the timid ever, but particularly this last couple of days.
I mean, Cannon McIntosh, obviously this sets him on a new level right now as a midget driver. He's had a great year so far with Keith Kunz.
Yes.
And and we've seen his talent for a number of years now. But this win last night puts him up on a new plane, does it not?
Funny you should say that. That's exactly what I thought walking in my car last night, which is, I've watched this kid, as you guys have, for years. He's done exceptionally at the Chili Bowl, as you know. He's won some preliminary nights and has been a factor there, right there in his backyard. But this was a white-knuckle one where he went toe-to-toe and slugs dotted one. And I don't care what you say. When you learn to win those, all of a sudden you get the sense that you're going to win other big ones. And I would agree with that. Back with Keith Kunz, obviously opportunities are there with Keith. But, it's not like the other teams out there aren't bringing pretty quality operations. They are. But I think so. I think this may be a really breakthrough from him. And he's still a young man. I mean, just because we've been watching him race for so long, we can always lose sight of the fact that when we first saw him, he literally was a kid.
That's Pat Sullivan. We got more from Pat coming up in hour 2 exclusively on Racing Boys. You think Cannon McIntosh, now that he's won the BC 39, he's got his eye on that Chili Bowl. That's his home area down there. That's a big race he wants.
Kirk, we've got an interview with Brian Brown in the hour number 2 as well.
We do, and Brian, who won last Saturday night out at I-70 in the POWRi 410 Sprint Cars, has made his way back to Pennsylvania, is racing at Williams Grove Speedway this weekend at the National Open. So we'll hear from Brian, who we talked to Monday. Big news this past week, Scott. A couple of big stories. Dazen Persley, who's leading the USAC Midget Series, there's an announcement made that he's going to go full-time with the High Limit Series and a wing sprint car with Buick Motorsports. Justin Peck, who'd been driving that car and will do so through the Texas Motor Speedway season finale weekend,
Kirk,
is out of that ride, and Dazen Persley is full-time next year and is going to begin it later on in November. I think it's going to be in that car at the World Finals down at Charlotte.
Hey, Kirk, Brady Bacon has announced that he's going to run winged sprint cars next year. That's where the money's at in 410 racing, isn't it?
I'm not surprised by that, are you?
I'm not surprised by it.
You kind of see Brady moving in that direction more so this year.
Non-winged sprint cars don't pay enough.
They don't. He's earned a lot more money. He's earned more money driving a wing sprint car this year than he has driving the non-wing car. And he's, a 5-time USAC National Sprint Car Champion?
4-time USAC.
4-time.
50 wins.
I'm not surprised by this. And Brady's had some success in the wing sprint cars. He qualified for the Nationals. He won a World of Outlaw race for the second year in a row out at Hobstadt earlier this year.
Right.
And I'm not surprised that Brady's going in this direction.
I'm not surprised either. Non-wing sprint car racing doesn't pay enough money.
No.
They need to start paying a little bit more money to keep those drivers over there on their side. Would you agree with that, Kurt?
Well, that's easier said than done. I just don't see USAC stepping up to the plate. I mean, they've paid some relatively big money at some non-wing sprint car events, but the overall purse money, especially there's more crown jewel events for wing sprint car racing. I just don't see USAC ever coming close to being able to pay out the kind of money that we see on the World of Outlaws and the High Limit Series. So that's and it's getting more so all the time. The money is in 410 wing sprint car racing. That's just the fact of life.
All the money that the High Limit Series is spending, all the money that the World of Outlaws are spending, it makes perfectly good sense to go over there and run 410 Sprint Car Racing.
I just want to get this in. Aaron Reitzel won at Texas Motor Speedway. Blake Hahn was not there. Very good reason. Congratulations to Blake and his wife at the birth of their new daughter.
Right.
Vaylin. Her name is Vaylin Ann Elizabeth Hahn. Congratulations, Blake and Sierra.
Right. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Sports Radio 810 WHB. For Jay back at Sports Radio 810 WHB. For Todd Surprise here at RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. For my partner, Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying we'll see you next week right here on Track Talk.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Stock up on some extra munchies.
All right, hour 2. All right, here we go.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
From the circle track to the drag strip to off-road racing, Rod End Supply has been keeping their customers at the front of the field since 1989. Whether you need rod ends, tubular rods, or specialty products, Bob Douglas and his Rod End Supply staff are always ready to help you with your needs. You can visit them on the web at rodendsupply.com or call them at 800-284-2902. That's 800-284-2902. Rod End Supply, keeping you at the front of the field.
When Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Lakeside Speedway with weekly racing every Friday night, plus great special events throughout 2024, including USMTS, MLRA, Malvern Bank Super Late Models, High Limit, Power Eye, ASCS, and much more. For complete schedule and information, it's lakesidespeedway.net. For the best coverage in dirt track racing, go to racinboys.com.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know the funny thing about that is the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done!
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Eye Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Track Talk here on Sports Radio, or RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Kirk?
Hey, I just wanted to make a correction on the website of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. I went to win-a-Z06corvette.com, and it's not working anymore. It's because it's not a Z06corvette.com. So if you want to get registered for the Corvette, go to sprintcarhof.com, and it'll send you to the links to get registered for the new Corvette up there. So anyway, I was afraid that was the case, that the old website from 2024 Corvette was not working the same, because it's a Corvette ZR1 that they're giving away next year. So go to sprintcarhof.com and it'll get you to the right links. It's still for the sprint car. It's winasprintcar.com. That's still accurate.
Hey, Kirk, Tony Pittman said that it's because people like the wings.
Yeah, it's more popular. It is.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there that like non-wing racing.
I'm one of the non-wing fans. I'm just I grew up with non-wing sprint cars, so I of course I'm an old guy. I prefer the non-wings, but
right,
younger people, the demographics that are younger than me and you, they'd rather see the wing sprint cars.
Ken says USAC has been a training ground for a long time. The top go to NASCAR and the tier go to wings.
Say that again. I lost track.
USAC has been a training ground for a long time. The top go to NASCAR and the next tier go to wings.
I'm not sure I understand. Explain that to me.
He's saying the top racers move on to NASCAR. The next tier of racers move on to the wing ones, the ones that would not move on. That's what.
Right.
Okay.
So he's saying that's why it's a breeding ground for upper forms of racing.
That there has been a saying that USAC is dead for decades, but they've always find new stars. The fields this year were pretty good, and they went to the next year too.
Well, losing Brady Bacon's a big loss for USAC because he was one of their more popular drivers in the non-wing USAC division. And so losing Brady Bacon as a full-time, and I understand that Brady's still going to race some non-wing sprint cars on occasion. He's just not going to be going full-time as he once did and is doing now in the USAC non-wing sprint cars. So we'll still see Brady Rand. The other big loss is Dazen Persley, who is leading the midget point standings this year. And he won a non-wing sprint car, won a couple of non-wing sprint car events, one at Knoxville and the other one, the preliminary night of the Four Crown at Eldora Speedway. So Dazen Persley, another young rising star, is not going to be running USAC next year. He's going high limit racing next year, driving the 13 cars. So USAC losing a couple of big-time stars.
How do you think Dazen Persley's going to do?
I think he'll do well. He won in a wing sprint car. Remember, he drove the Eikenberry number 25 to a win at Houston Speedway earlier this year. So he has a win. He's one of these rare guys that's won in a wing sprint car, non-wing, midget, and Silver Crown this year. That's what Dazen Persley has done in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's going to be in a good ride. Justin Peck probably hasn't won as much as he had hoped to in that Buick Motorsports 13, but it's good equipment, and it's going to be interesting to see what Justin Peck does now.
Right.
See where he ends up, because I think he's pretty talented.
Where do you think he's going to end up, Kurt?
I'm not sure. He'll end up somewhere. He's too talented a race car driver. So, a lot of moving and shaking going on as we head into the fall. It'll be interesting to see who ends up with World of Outlaws and who ends up with High Limit next year. I think there's going to be some moving around of some of the full-time teams of where they're going next year. So it'll be interesting to watch. I think we'll learn a lot when the World Finals come around in November. That's the last World of Outlaw event. I think we'll know more by that time.
Right.
So what is that, about a month away? So a lot of silly season stuff out there right now.
Man,
it is the silly season, right?
I was looking at our news section and saw that the Tulsa Shootout's already on record pace for a number of entries, and I told my wife, I said, I do not miss the Tulsa doing that week of the Tulsa Shootout.
Right.
I can't imagine.
The daily grind is what you
don't miss, I mean,
right?
the event's great, but that daily grind of the shootout.
We get up at the crack of dawn. We go to the event, the expo center. The races start at 9 and end up at 11 for like 4 or 5 days. You don't miss that, huh, Todd?
You don't see the daylight only on during the day when you're taking your break. Like, we go in when it's dark, we walk out of that building when it's dark, and when I saw it said they're on a record pace to shatter how many they had, I'm thinking, man, that's more power to the young people.
Right.
Well, one thing we know is they won't limit the entries.
No.
The Tulsa Shootout.
No,
we'll crowd you in anyway.
More the merrier, my friend. We'll park out.
We got room for you wherever.
No matter what we got, we'll squeeze you in.
So, but it's a fun time.
Well, it's an amazing event, like you said. Just to walk around and hang out in the pits and with all the people that are, it's just I guess you'd call it the garage area, but it's, where everybody lives for a whole week. I mean, the crock pots are all set up in the stations. You got the lawn chairs. I mean, people are living out of these trailers at the shootout for that whole week. And it's, the Chili Bowl, not quite as much living in that trailer. There's some partying going on, some work going on, some hanging out on top. But the shootout, that's a family affair there, man. You've got kids and area roped off. And, I mean, it's a whole different animal, my friend. And like you said, that's before Christmas, right?
We've seen stars born at the Tulsa Shootout.
Well, absolutely. They all roll through there. And Frank Flood, who's on this page right here, I mean, there's no better dude down there. Him and Blake Hahn pretty much dominate down there in the Tulsa Shootout. I mean,
Blake Hahn's got 9 gold drillers.
Yeah,
Blake is the all-time winner of the shootout, is he not?
And I know Frank picked up 3. in 1 year in 3 different classes. I mean, or 1, 2, and was raced in 3 different classes. So it's always a fun time. I mean, we're close, guys. It's October now. I don't think people kind of realize it's October.
Well, this event is after it starts after the first of the year. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, January 1st through the 4th.
How about that?
For the Tulsa Shootout, just the way the calendar lays out.
Yeah.
Then, of course, the Chili Bowl after. It's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's coming up. Dirt late model action last night. Devin Moran posted the preliminary victory at the Pittsburgher last night out in Imperial, Pennsylvania. And the top 4 have begun their trek toward the championship with only 5 races now instead of 7, because the announcement made this past week that East Bay Raceway Park will not be hosting the grand finale that was supposed to be a co-event with the High Limit Series next weekend. That is off the calendar because of Hurricane Helene and all of the rain that they've had down there. They're not going to be able to get that track in shape. They're still going to close out East Bay Raceway Park. This is the final year for it. They've got a couple of other events coming up later in the year, but it won't involve the High Limit or the Lucas Oil Late Model Series. So in its place, they have rescheduled the Jackson 100 and the C.J. Rayburn event that was supposed to be last weekend at Brownstown that got rained out. That now fills those dates, next Friday and Saturday. And then, of course, in 2 weeks will be the Dirt Track World Championship to settle the championship for the Lucas Oil Late Model Series. But Devin Moran, with his win last night, has taken over the points lead from Ricky Thornton Jr. And they'll go at it again tonight out at the Pittsburgher. But Devin Moran looks pretty good right now.
How about those Kansas City Royals?
How about those Royals? Yeah, tonight. Tonight is the big night in the Yankees.
They're
Game
taking
1.
on the Yankees tonight. What do you think, Todd?
Todd, I'm jacked up for this.
Do you think they're going to win against the Yankees?
They can win. We just need to win one there, and we can shake this series up. Today's the day.
And then we got 2 games, possibly 2 games here in Kansas City.
Yep,
Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, so we bought tickets for Zach. That's all he wanted.
You're going to one of the games?
Well, I think I'm going to let my wife watch more games than I did this year. If it's a night game, she's going. If it's a day game, I'll go.
Are there tickets still available?
There were tickets while the game 2 was being played against Baltimore. So I'm watching the game. I'm listening to the radio, and they said if you wanted to go to the Baltimore game that day, guys, you could have walked into the Baltimore to watch a playoff game for $16, Kirk.
No way.
Yeah, and did you notice all the empty seats in Houston? Those people got spoiled, didn't they?
They got real spoiled.
There was a lot of empty seats down there at Texas last night, wasn't there?
Yep.
Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. I thought the track was about as good as I've seen at Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. They did a good job of prepping that racetrack, and I thought the racing was pretty good, although Aaron Reitzel pretty much dominated. They need more people in the stands at Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. That's an important track, Scott. With no Devil's Bowl anymore, we need the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track to elevate.
Pick up the game
because no Devil's Bowl Speedway anymore. So we'll see what happens tonight. Lucas Oil Speedway hosting a big weekend of late model racing this weekend. Last night and the night before, Ryan Gustin, the Reaper, had them all covered. And
down at the MLRA race?
MLRA Fall Nationals at Lucas Oil Speedway. And the track, I thought, was in great shape last night. Gustin comes through with the win, beating Chris Simpson for the second time in 2 nights. Chad Simpson was third last night. Now, on Thursday night, Justin Wells finished in third place. But so far, they got one more night to go, $10,000 on the line at Lucas Oil Speedway tonight. See if Brian Gustin can sweep the weekend at Lucas Oil Speedway. So, and of course, Wednesday night, the makeup of the finale of the High Limit event in June will be held down there. You and I are probably going to go down there and go to that, right?
Right.
You plan on going down to Wheatland on Wednesday night?
I plan on going down to Wheatland on Wednesday night.
So
I'll probably take the RV.
There you go. You got I-70 on Tuesday night. Will you take it to I-70, or you just go to I-70 and then come back home and then go to Wheatland after that? What's the plan?
I'll probably just go from I-70 to Wheatland.
Take the RV to I-70?
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
Right.
Well, I'm going to join you at both those places down there. So,
all right.
So we don't have to drive back after the races at Wheatland on Wednesday night. We can just sleep at the track after the races on Wednesday and then drive back on Thursday. I like that idea.
Well, that would be the ideal plan.
So anyway, Brian Brown is, thank God he's recovered from that appendectomy he had here a few weeks back. And he said he wasn't feeling all that good most of the summer. And I always understood that appendectomies kind of come on you all of a sudden. I've heard that, but
Deidre had that happen.
She did, but Brian was able to come back and strap himself into a race car, 2 weeks after he had the surgery?
Hey, Kirk, I want to give a shout-out to Terry Taylor that lives in Des Moines. She's listening to the show.
Welcome.
She's a loyal fan, just so you know.
Glad to have all our listeners here on a Saturday morning. Of course, we're here Mondays with Mostly Motorsports at 12 noon live every week as well. Anyway, Brian Brown went to the Tuscarora 50, a couple of weeks after he had appendectomy surgery. He was the defending winner of that event. And you'll hear him talk about even strapping himself in the race car after you've had surgery. Was that a little bit too quick for Brian to come back after that? I don't know.
I think it was.
So anyway, he's healed up now. And last Saturday night, he won at I-70 Speedway in the POWRi 410 sprint cars. He's now made his way back to Pennsylvania to run the National Open this weekend. He raced last night. Monday, we spoke with Brian Brown on Mostly Motorsports. Here's part of that conversation.
Listen, that was a pretty big win for you out there at I-70 Speedway, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can win this day and age, it's just getting harder and harder. And, really no matter where you go. And there wasn't a ton of cars, but the quality of field was I felt like was very strong. And, just a good overall night. First time I probably felt 100% here for a while. So it was just good to go to the racetrack and feel good and have a fast car and just really do your job.
Brian, as well as you ran at the Knoxville Nationals this year, considering how you felt all summer, the Nationals, I guess, turned out to be a pretty good week for you, didn't it?
Yeah, finishing sixth at the Nationals, I felt like that was, it's obviously not if I started the season and said, okay, you're going to run sixth at the Nationals, it's like, obviously I probably wouldn't have taken it, but it's just been a little bit of a struggle this year for whatever reason, and just that was a good run. And competitively, I felt like at the Nationals, if things would have went a couple of different laps, I could have run second or third pretty easily, I feel like. So, like I said, I just been fighting, just not really feeling good all summer long, and really sluggish and not really knowing why. And just now that I got the appendix out and I feel better, I just feel like I'm ready to race. And really, when you run through the season and you get to certain points and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like really sometimes don't want to go to the races if the results are bad or whatever. But when they tell you, hey, you can't race, it kind of just relights that fire in your stomach, and I couldn't wait to get back racing when I was healthy enough.
How hard was that to sit at home? I assume you watched a lot of races on video, and you're not there the last night at Knoxville. You'd like to be up there for that event. Just how hard was that to sit at home, you not racing, and you're watching a lot of what's going on?
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it was not fun, and like I said, but I think that gave me the desire to just. Sometimes you just get burnt out and you think, I want a couple nights off or whatever, and that's fine and dandy when you take them on your own. But when you take them when they say you can't go, you can't race, it's like that's why I worked so hard, to get back as quick as I could. The surgeon wanted me to be off for 4 weeks, and like I said, to race 11 days later, I thought was pretty good. And I went to hyperbaric chamber for 4 or 5 days in a row trying to get better oxygen in my system. I did anything I could to try to make myself better to get back as quick as I could.
Just how difficult is that after an appendectomy? A couple of weeks later, you're in a car out at Port Royal Speedway to cinch the belts down tight after having a appendectomy. How difficult was that just to strap yourself in the car?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad getting in the car and doing all that stuff, but these belts got to be tight, and if you just put the belts on and say, okay, let's go race, that's one thing, but you have to have them tight where you're safe in the car too. And the tighter I got the belts, the more the pain was. So it's but it wasn't, back in the day they raced with way more injuries than what I raced with. It just wasn't comfortable, and I don't feel like I put my best performance together, but I think we had a top 5 and a top 10 and made all 3 shows. So I was happy with the result. My car was better than I was, but I think Saturday night at I-70, shows what kind of speed we can have still. So that's exciting for me here going forward.
Hey, Blackjack, what do you think about the putting in a smaller track at I-70 Speedway? Do you think that's a good idea?
I really think that's the only choice going forward. I think I don't mind the size of the track, but I feel like to be able to say, okay, do we want to host a midget show or a modified show or whatever, I feel like it just needs to probably be a little bit smaller. That way it just can accommodate all types of racing. To me, it's always going to be just the specials only, maybe a couple Saturdays a month, but I feel like you need to be able to accommodate all types of race cars, and it's too big for midgets and things like that. So I feel like if they can get a track that's similar in size to Lake Ozark or Granite City or Tulare or something like that, I think that's going to be more diverse, where they can have all types of racing, and I think that's probably the only choice at this point. And one thing about Cat Excavating and Steve Bailey is they're not going to do it, just half-ass. They're going to do it right. And I've seen the preliminary drawings, and it's going to be all reconfigured. They're not just moving a corner in; they're moving the corners in, they're moving the walls in. I mean, it's going to be still a top-notch facility when it's all said and done.
So, when I was talking with Casey Schumann here a couple of weeks ago, I was led to believe, of course, the plans probably changed since I last spoke to him about it, that they were going to leave the big half-mile in and build the smaller track and utilize part of the front straightaway. Those plans have changed now? They're going to go all in and shorten this thing up now?
Well, and I don't want to be the messenger, but I feel like from what I've seen and talked about, I feel like they're going to move both ends in some, and then I feel like they're going to take the backstretch and move it into where it just makes it. If you're going to, like I told Steve and Casey, and we all agreed, let's just do it once and do it right and be done with it and build it, for the future. And I think to be able to do that, there's really no sense of leaving the half mile out there. You're not going to run on it. You might as well just shorten it up and move the walls in and get it to be where it should be going forward.
No, I agree with you. I think that would be the plan to take, and would give more room. The drag facility needs more room anyway, I think. So,
I mean, and I think, it's like, I go out there on Saturday night, and I go to a lot of races and a lot of racetracks. There is not a nicer facility in the country. I mean, let me rephrase that. There are probably nicer facilities, but it's in the top 5 of just, if you just pull into place and just, it's beautiful. We're lucky to have it so close to home. We just gotta make the track probably a little bit more accommodating for all types of classes. And like I said, looking forward, October 8th here, High Limits coming back. Looking forward to having that race there and hopefully having a good crowd for that.
So what's next for you? How much more racing you got?
Yeah, so it was kind of a makeshift deal on Saturday. We had a car here that was ready to go, and we had some tires and wheels, and then Chad's brother, Chris Morgan, out of the Pica, they brought their truck and trailer over to pick us up. So we kind of went no spares, just basically if we hit something, we were coming home. And our truck and trailer's still in Pennsylvania, so we'll head back Thursday. We'll run the National Open this weekend, and then we'll come back the High Limit race on Tuesday, Wheatland Wednesday, and then from that point on, it'll kind of be up in the air. We might do Texas Motor Speedway, probably Charlotte. We'll just be kind of up in the air from that point on of what are based on weather and things like that. So a lot of still good racing left. Looking forward to the National Open. We've had some success there. Obviously looking forward to High Limit at I-70 on October the 8th. So a lot of great partners, FEP, Bonnie Windows and Doors, Wilkerson Crane, a lot of great people helped out. K1 kicked in a little bit of money where we're going to pay $2,000 to start, $20,000 to win, $2,000 to start. I think that's important going forward, that these purses need to be 10% to start of what it is to win. So I wanted to do that for the race, and just like I said, a lot of stuff to look forward to here. And it's not been the best of seasons, but you reel off some good wins here late in the year, gives you a little pep in your step going into the off season.
You got to be proud, these sponsors that you have, the partners, I call them, the growth of these partners that you see all around the country. Casey's General Stores has to be a prime example. I'm seeing Casey's General Stores everywhere now, and I think it's no small part to how you spread the word about Casey's over the years.
Well, I think it definitely helps. I would love to say it's all because of what we do, but that's obviously probably not true. I feel like that I just try to be a small part of all of our partners and try to do a good job of representing them well. We're really the brand. We're getting it out there to tell people about it, and then obviously it's the customers that have to leave the racetrack and go to support, whether it's, Casey's to get a pizza or gas, or FEP to buy a battery, or Andy's Frozen Custard to go buy some custard, or if you need a sign to go to Impact Signs, Awnings, and Wraps. So I'm a spokesperson for the brands, and, like I said, just try to do my part and do the best we can.
Well, we see Andy's Frozen Custards everywhere now, ever since you started carrying their colors. So I'm just saying, these partners are more well known. With I got the best partners in the world. I got the best pizza and the best custard. So it's definitely, I got to hit the gym in the morning to make sure I keep that physique up.
All right, Brian, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us here on Mostly Motorsports.
Hey, one more thing. The Chiefs are undefeated now, but, man, we lost a wide receiver last night, huh?
Yeah, man, that ain't good. I don't think that injury didn't look too promising. So hopefully, I think that probably somehow, some way they'll go out and try to grab another receiver. Maybe Amari Cooper or something like that, maybe from Cleveland. But, yeah, it's just unfortunate that had to happen, and it was bad too. But one thing about it, man, you can't count them out. They're
4-0
with Andy Reid. If there's a will, there's a way.
They're 4-0, and that's not all bad, is it?
No, and you look back, they could be 0-4 too. They're a play away every game from
right,
but. They all they do is win. They figure it out. You just next man up, and like I said, as long as they still have Andy Reid and Brett Veach and Patrick Mahomes, I feel like that everything's going to be fine.
Well, let's keep Patrick healthy. That's the big thing now. That's
that's an absolute must.
Yes, sir. So, well, have a good time out at. I'm just going to ask you, what is you've won at Williams Grove Speedway. That's a tricky place to get around. Have you figured it out? You got to feel pretty good going in there this weekend. What's going to take to win?
Yeah, I definitely don't have it figured out. Like it's I think I got it figured out when I'm going in the gate. But usually, when I go under the bridge going in, I think, oh man, I got this thing figured out. Hopefully we'll have a good night tonight. And then usually when I leave, I want to drive my passenger car into the bridge. So
right.
It's definitely not. It's hard, so hard. It's a half mile, but it is the hardest half mile I feel like in the world. And the track changes nonstop. The lines change nonstop. You got to have a good car there, but I think the driver, where you lift, where you pick up the throttle, it's as tough as it gets. And even when I won there, I didn't feel that great. So, like I said, I think we got a pretty good plan going into here. And like I said, if it works, hopefully we'll have a good couple nights. And if not, I'm not going to drive my car into the bridge, but I'll want to when I
right. No doubt.
Well, it helps to have a win in your pocket from Saturday night as a big confidence boost for you.
Yeah,
I'm sure,
I mean, I think it's just like anything else. Is like there's good cars there on Saturday night. Confidence breeds confidence.
Yeah.
So it's like just you can only race the next one in front of you and just try to feel like we'll go there, we'll qualify good, put ourselves in position, and I feel like once we do that, we're as good as anybody. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. This is a marquee event, a crown jewel, and just like I said, as you get older here, you love just competing and still thinking you can do it and get the job done. And I feel like we can still, and but it's just so competitive. You're off a little bit this day and age. You get exposed. There's no way to hide. And like I said, every single night is a top-notch race. There's no gimmies no more, and they're all tough to win, and can't take anything for granted. So anytime you win, you better be proud and better enjoy it while you can.
Last night, Brian Brown qualified 11th in Group A. He finished 5th in the first heat race. That transferred him into the A main. I'm not exactly sure where he starts in the A main later on this afternoon. That got fogged out last night, but he should be mid-pack somewhere. So that is where he stands in the preliminary race, and then we'll see what he does in the finals, the big show tonight for the National Open. So looks like he's about mid-pack in the preliminary feature.
Blackjack Brian Brown is one of the better sprint car drivers in the country. Would you agree with that, Kurt?
Well, of course. Yeah, 6th at the Nationals this year. He's won second all-time to his uncle Danny at Knoxville. So, yeah, I would say that. He's not, he's a free agent driver out there. He's not tied into either the World of Outlaws or the High Limit Racing. He goes wherever the money's at and whatever fits he sponsors. He'll be back in the area Tuesday night at I-70 and Wednesday night at the High Limit Race down at Lucas Oil Speedway. So big trek back from Pennsylvania to get ready for a couple of big races here in the area. Hey, I noticed they ran 410 sprint cars at Jacksonville last night. They had 40 410 sprint cars at Jacksonville last night.
That was a pretty good number.
Good number. Paul Nienheiser picks up the feature victory over Will Armitage. Thomas Meserol. Have you seen Thomas Meserol in a Wing 410 sprint car?
I haven't.
He finished in third place last night. Jake Newman fourth, and Cameron Key rounded out the top 5. They'll do it again at Jacksonville. Midgets and 410 sprint cars. That's a good number, 40 410 sprint cars. Anywhere. That's pretty good turnout at Jacksonville last night.
Right.
Lakeside Speedway. Are we still got a couple of more shows out at Lakeside after, even though the season championships were held last night out at Lakeside Speedway.
Who are the champions, Kurt?
I was trying to find that. I haven't seen the article from Rick Staley yet to who that was, but I was trying to find the point standings here, and I'm having a difficult. I can tell you who won last night, the season finale features. Tim Carrick outran Shadron Turner last night in the B-Mod.
I got the name.
feature. Do you have the champions?
I got the names of the champions. It's on their Facebook page. So they said we also like. So last night you had the overall winners. Last night at the race, you had Chase Galvin, Corey Myers, Austin Buzak, and Tim Carrick. And so then our track champions are
Tim wins another championship.
He's the all-time winner of championships at Lakeside Speedway.
Let me tell you something. That guy won a lot of championships at Riverside as well.
Yeah.
Do you know that, Kirk?
I did know that. He's been doing it a long time.
He's been doing it a long time.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So Tim Carrick picks up the B-Mod championship in the 1K, the USRA stock car number 91J, the Jalen Wettigal. Pure stock number 15, Little Ed Knoll. It's the
He won a lot of races this year, Ed Knoll.
Sure did. So
he did.
Congratulations to all the track champions out there.
Paul Carter.
It's been a yeah. I'm sorry. There it is. I'm sorry. You're right. And the E-Mod champion number 47, Paul Carter. So all of those guys, 2024 Lakeside Speedway track champions. So they'll be all the ones represented at the boost at their little banquet that they have at the end of the year. And I talked to Tim's mom yesterday. I was at where she works, and I was getting some food, and we talked, and she said, "Are you coming out to watch him win, to watch him? He's going for his championship." And I said, I had some videos I had to edit. I probably wasn't going out there. And she invited me out to have a chili dog because she was making chili dogs again because that's what she usually does on Friday. She hadn't done it in a while, but she'd made a whole bunch of them and was heading out to the track. So congratulations to Tim and the
Happy birthday, Charlie.
And if I would have known it was her birthday yesterday when she walked up and talked to me, I would have said happy birthday. So if anybody sees her, if she's listening today, pass on happy birthday from me and the Racing Boys. And yeah, I heard them running last night. I knew they finished.
You know they're not done at Lakeside.
Yeah,
they're even though this is the last points night.
Yeah.
They're going to run again next Friday night and the week after that, weather permitting.
Yeah, and then they're going to have
weekly.
Those are non-point races.
Non-points races.
Yeah, and
then on October 25th, they got the USMTS Modifieds out at Lakeside Speedway.
And I believe they're also having Demolition Derby too. I believe there's
two. They call it 2 Extreme Monster Trucks. October 26th. That would be Saturday night, the 26th, the night before USMTS Modified.
You know, that's where they filmed that video for that commercial.
Yeah.
Remember that commercial I showed you, Kirk, when we came in and had the flashlight? And I said, hey, that's Lakeside Speedway seats. And sure
they
enough.
filmed that commercial at Lakeside
They
Speedway.
filmed it that night when those monster trucks were in town, and they had all the good lighting and filmed that thing and filmed it right there on the infield.
That's like a nationwide commercial.
Oh, yeah. If you're up at 2 in the morning, you turn on whatever that safe, the guy with the light that drops it in the ice box and drops it from the roof and freezes it in an ice cube and all that, and had the monster truck drive over it. Well, that was all that was all filmed out there at Lakeside Speedway, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, nice to see that they were able to get the racing in. It was a great couple of weeks of racing, so it was nice that they didn't have to put off championship night or anything. You never know what can happen. It could be really cold out there when you get this time of the year out there, and man, today's going to be a hot one here in the Midwest. If you're out there rolling around, this looks like our last blast of hot air, guys.
Shorts weather today.
Got shorts if you got them. You got stuff to do outside. Today's it. 91 degrees is what they're calling for in Kansas City. And
for October the 5th, that's hot.
And then tomorrow, a high of 76. So
perfect. I love this time of the
year. I love it.
It's championship weekend for the Malvern Bank Late Model Series, too. They're at the Adams County Speedway in Corning, Iowa this weekend. They had racing there last night. Didn't have a main for the late models. They ran a series of 2 heat races. I think they have 27 cars there last night. And it is Tad Pospisil that will be on the pole for tonight's season finale feature event that pays $6,000 to win at the Adams County Speedway in Corning, Iowa tonight. So we'll keep an eye on that. Dirt Crown TV is carrying the live video of that event up at my old stomping grounds, the Adams County Speedway. So keep an eye on that tonight as well. What we got? Part 2 of Pat Sullivan?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, we do.
So more Pat Sullivan. You heard in hour number 1 talk about the BC 39. He's a great guest. Always love having Pat on. And, of course, he's one of the MCs. He and Dave Argerbright MC the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum induction ceremony
Absolutely.
every year. And he's a Hall of Famer himself.
I was going to say, the year we did I think the year that we did the broadcast up there, that was the year that he was inducted.
He was inducted. So here's more of Pat Sullivan from our Mostly Motorsports show from Monday.
The previous winner of the BC 39, he didn't have much luck last night, did he?
Yeah.
No, he didn't, but I bet he understands it. I mean, Jade got him. It's close quarters racing, and I mean, Justin a few years ago said something to me that was actually pretty instructive. And I mean, we get a lot of talk about, that's not how we used to race, and this is not racing as we were brought up. All that conversation. I mean, it's changed a bit. And Justin told me, I figured out either I was going to have to adapt or I'm going to be in the back of the pack. So in other words, I got to be aggressive. Now, almost everybody tells me they think the cars are a little bit different, and you can race them a little bit differently today. I don't know. I'm a mechanical guy.
Right.
But I suspect Justin understands. I mean, that's a tight racetrack. They're going everywhere. There's holes in 1 and 2. It's racing luck. Sometimes it looks at you, sometimes it looks away from you, and you just have to turn away from Justin. But he's had a pretty phenomenal year. He's still in the Silver Crown points chase. He won both races on the miles, which is in a third in a row. And I talked to him actually before the race, and he was still pretty glowing about that because that's a big one in his racing career. He's checked off about every box he'd like to check out. He'd like to win the Midget Championship. It's not going to happen this year, but he still had a pretty good year. Took him on SmackDown. It's been good.
All right, let's talk about Jade Abedissian. We said that Cannon McIntosh put himself up on a different plane last night. I felt the same way after last night watching Jade do what she did. We've been singing this girl's praises for a number of years now, and boy, what she did last night was epic for a lady in motorsports.
Well, I would not be surprised that you had, because one of her big wins was a John Hank win over at Sweet Springs Motorsports Park.
$20,000.
$20,000.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it was. And I did a story on her about 2 years ago. Of course, she's got a little voice, so she at that time sounded like a little girl. And she's a young woman now. She's got a boatload of accomplishments in the micros, and she's won in midgets, as you well know. But she hasn't won a USAC race, and that is important to her. And Keith Kuntz told me, I don't know what it was he told me. I can't remember if it was in the last year or the first this year. He told me that he thought she was poised to do that. But let me tell you something. She was willing last night. And I mean, and I saw her, funny enough, she had a little bit of rough go of it, really, on the preliminary night feature, since we ran back to back, and I could see her on her face. She wasn't happy. And so, what do we come out of this with, guys? She's tough. I mean,
right.
She's simply tough.
Yeah.
Right. She's good.
So what?
I mean, she's fearless.
What is her plan? I know she's dabbled in the pavement cars. Where's she at right now with everything that she's doing?
I don't really know. I haven't had a chance to talk to her as much. I haven't seen her this much this year to know exactly what her long-term plans are. I would assume that there would be interest, obviously, to move her to some pavement if that's what she wants to do. And, obviously, Kaylee Bryson has actually gone out and she's doing really well in the Trans Am series and doing some road racing and that sort of thing. And all that helps you if you've got a goal to go somewhere beyond where you're at right now. And I'm assuming she does. So I would suspect we've seen Taylor Reimer, for example, racing stock cars and having some success. So I would suspect that's where her plan goes. But she's got time. But you guys think she sold some T-shirts last night?
Oh, yes,
no
there's
doubt.
No doubt about that. And you brought up some key words there. She's got time. If I were to suggest to her, do this, keep right where you're at running midgets and focus in on that, and she's going to win a lot of races. That the rest of it can take care. I don't think there's any hurry for her to get involved with the other stuff. If she focuses on this, I think, to me, that's her best path. What do you think?
Well, I could agree. I mean, I think unfortunately what happens is I've worried about this a lot with young drivers that have had some success, and they immediately are thinking about that so-called next level. That's the buzzword we hear a lot, the next level. And then they lose their focus. And then if you lose your focus and all of a sudden you're not winning races and you're running mid-pack or even the top third, then suddenly the opportunities you had to do what you're doing now start to go away. You know, years ago, there was a long-time USAC racer, Eric Gordon, one of the stars Little 500. I forget how many times he won it, 6 or 7. And he ran USAC for years. And years ago, he had a little bit of a teaser to go to NASCAR and then run with the Busch Series. And he sometimes lamented that he didn't just pick up and move to the Southeast and tough it out and see if he could have made it. But he did it. So he was a long-time USAC racer. And I remember talking to Eric, I did a story on him, and he said something that was always really important to me. And he said, you know what? I think about all the guys I ran quarter midgets with when I was a kid, and a lot of them are working a real job somewhere, and that's great. But a lot of them wish they could be racing at the level that I'm racing at right now. And that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we're worried more about some bigger prize, we forget the fact that there's a lot of value in what we're doing at the moment. And that's one thing I really like about Kaylee Bryson. Kaylee Bryson's attitude is, I'm loving the heck out of whatever I'm doing today in a race car. It doesn't matter. She doesn't worry about it. She just looks to the next race to do the best she can.
That is Pat Sullivan, Hall of Famer. And always enjoy having Pat on, talk about.
Right.
He did a good. He and Brian Holbert did a great job covering the BC 39 over the weekend. Just happy they got it in.
I thought they did a great job between the two of them. Don't you, Kurt?
Yeah, it was great. So anyway, glad they got it in, and we'll keep an eye on Jade Abedishian and Cannon McIntosh. I'm working on Cannon McIntosh for Monday's show, so hopefully I can get him lined up for Monday, and maybe we'll get the winner of the National Open on Monday. We'll work on that too.
Right.
So we'll see who wins that race. So Talladega weekend, Scott. Got yesterday, Grant Enfinger won the truck race at Talladega. Today, we got Cup qualifying about noontime today for tomorrow's Cup race, and the Xfinity race, I think, starts at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And so we'll see what happens at Talladega Superspeedway, the place you've
who you picking to win, Kurt?
I have no idea. How can you predict Talladega? How can you really predict who wins Talladega? I have no clue.
I'm going with Kevin Harvick.
Kevin Harvick's not racing anymore, is he?
He's not racing
he
anymore.
Retired.
He's retired.
You missed that.
That'd be a good one. He's retired.
Hey,
you got to pick somebody else. I'll give you one more chance. Who you got?
Kyle Busch.
That would be big. I thought he was going to do it last week.
Yeah, last week was his best chance. This is too much of a crapshoot. You're going to get somebody that wins that.
I still think Kyle Busch is going to win a race before the end of the year.
I don't know if he can win today.
He's won at Talladega in the last couple of years. Yeah. He won there the spring race last year at Talladega.
It's such a crapshoot, though.
It's a crapshoot.
Like, literally, if you don't get caught up in it, or you do get caught up in it, or you accidentally miss it by a little bit, that's literally how this thing shakes out. It's so when the big one happens, whether or not you're involved in it or not, or whether you're on the right lap, this is those races, guys, where there's a guy that comes in and wins that normally doesn't.
Tyler Reddick won there in the spring.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out.
Last fall it was Ryan Blaney.
I'm going to say someone like a Ross Chastain. He won last week, but I'm going to say someone like that. There's going to be a guy,
a non-playoff driver.
Non-playoff driver is going to pick up a win tonight or tomorrow and shake things up again. That'll be 2 weeks in a row that a non-playoff driver picks up a win. You talk about these guys are firing on all cylinders when you're in. Everything is on point, and you go in there and you get beat by a non-playoff guy. I mean, we talked about it. These guys are still they're not giving up. There's a lot to be had on race day, and pride's one of them. Pride's a big thing out there. Those
right.
Guys don't want, even if you're not in the playoffs, there's money to be made and pride's at stake, and we saw it. I mean, last week, guys, number 4 car, who was that, Kirk, that got crashed out?
Josh Berry.
Josh Berry.
And they were ticked off when they towed his car back to the garage area.
And it was done. That was it.
Rodney Childers, the crew chief on that car, said, no, we wanted to change. The tires were flat. We couldn't drive it to tow it back to pit road. We wanted to put tires on it. NASCAR said, no, you're done.
They should have been on the clock.
Yeah.
And let them allowed to something's got to be done. And then another thing we didn't talk about too today, they've added a little wing, right, to the car because of all the flips that they've been having.
Yeah.
So NASCAR
cars get upside down.
They've came out and added a new lip on the passenger side all the way down. That's a pretty good size little fairing.
So here's what you want to pay attention to. Who's above the cut line and by how much?
Yes.
At Talladega, this is very important. William Byron is 34 points above the cut line. Ryan Blaney is 28 points, along with Christopher Bell. They're in pretty good shape. Kyle Larson, who had a bad day last week, 18 over the cut line. Denny Hamlin is plus 11. Alex Bowman plus 8. Chase Elliott and Joey Logano are plus 4. Below it, Tyler Reddick minus 4, Suarez minus 14, Chase Briscoe minus 25, and Austin Cindric minus 29. So who gets out of Talladega?
Suarez. That's my pick.
Of course, they got another race next week, the Roval at Charlotte, before they have the cutoff to 8.
You said Suarez was 4 under the cut line? Is that what you said it was?
Daniel Suarez is 14 below the cut line.
I think he's a name that could win today. That's like one of those names. I know he's in it, but it's literally, like you said, anything can happen today. I don't think one of your big name, I don't think Denny or any of those guys are going to win. I think it's going to be somebody new, which is always fun. I mean, we saw Chastain last week. He was excited, man. I mean, he doesn't win.
Were you surprised about Ross Chastain winning last week?
I was. He ran well the whole race. He was running up towards the front the whole race, but I thought Kyle Busch was going to win the race.
We thought until
I sat up in the grandstand watching, and just as the time that Larson got in trouble there trying to get around Chase Briscoe, lap car, I was in the tunnel when that happened. I walked up on the other side and said, what happened?
Big crash.
The leader got in trouble, and I missed it.
I do know for a fact that, like you said, that Busch was going to probably win that race, and he didn't blame it on the other driver.
No.
He gave him enough room up there and kind of got pinched him up there. But I guarantee you, Busch 10 years ago, Kyle Busch would have said something. I'm just gonna tell you right now, old Kyle Busch would have said something.
Right.
I went down there and talked to Kyle Busch. You want to hear it?
Yeah. I forgot you were on pit road after that.
Let's see if I can get this. Here's what Kyle Busch had to say to me after his disappointing finish.
Was stuck behind the 14 for a few laps, and the one was gaining, and I tried to make a hole to his outside. There was a hole there. I got to his outside, and for whatever reason, just got super, super loose, and it's like aerodynamics caused me to get real loose and wrecked.
I mean, he was friendly with me.
Right.
You know, the old Kyle Busch
Yeah.
would have been madder now.
That's what I'm saying. He's
right.
He's taking it all in stride.
You know, think about it. His kid, that night before, guys, he was at Sweet Springs watching his kid win a race. Busch was racing out there as well, the senior Busch. So his priorities are in a little bit different. Like you said, it's hard to be PO'd at everything when your kid's out, when you're watching your kid race, and he's kind of
he and Brexton were at Sweet Springs
that week. I mean, like I said,
both
nights,
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday. So you know, Kyle
I think he's going to win a race before the end of the year. I think Kyle Busch will win a race.
Yeah, I think Charlotte. Race.
Do you think Ty Gibbs is going to win a race this year?
I think so.
I
think Ty Gibbs is close to winning a race. He finished 5th on Sunday. I think he's got a shot at it.
Yeah, Martin Truex Jr. is the one that I was thinking he needs to win. He's done after this year, right? He's wanting to win just one more race before he hangs up the hat. I mean, we know that.
I talked to both of those guys.
Martin, in years before, you know, I mean, obviously he's gone through a lot with his girlfriend passing away, you know,
right.
basically his wife, his girlfriend and stuff. I mean, he's had a lot to deal with over the last couple of years, but just knowing this is the last time you're going to be rolling through some of these tracks, I'm sure it's very emotional for a kind of guy like that. You know, that a lot of things get stirred up in your head when you're wrapping up a career. I'm sure it's.
Well, let's hear from Truex after his 3rd place run last week.
Towards the end. I mean, I definitely could have done better on that last one, but you know, overall, our car was too tight on restarts all day, and that was you know, kind of what bit us at the end there.
That was it. Pretty simple stuff. And Kyle Larson, I walk up to the drivers that are really disappointed. Kyle Larson was he was down.
Yeah, he's had a bad couple of weeks. I mean, it's
he had a rough day, and it happened early for Larson. Had a tire go down, not his fault. Got up into the wall, and they spent the rest of the time trying to fix the car, and he ended up 28th. Not a good day for Kyle Larson. He's still 18 points above the cut line. Here's what Kyle had to say to me after his disappointing day.
Yeah, we had a right rear get low and pop, and then I guess we ran something over because it ripped off something on some of the diffuser, but we were able to get that piece back and get it repaired, and we were working to salvage our day, which we still did, but could have been better. Had to just stayed green, but didn't work that way.
What was the biggest thing you had to work on during the yellow flags to get it back going?
I'm not sure. They had to repair the car, and then we were just kind of slow on speed.
You know, and I knew better to ask that question. Kyle doesn't know the race cars, or doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't work on race cars.
No.
Kyle Larson.
He gets in, he tells them what he feels, and he drives.
You know, I don't know what they were working on. They were just trying to fix it.
Yeah, you could tell.
But he said the diffuser, something with the diffuser was.
But you
bad.
could hear it in his voice, though. It was.
Hey, we need to give a shout out to all the people down in Asheville, North Carolina.
Well, everybody affected, not just
in
Asheville.
North Carolina.
Boy,
North Carolina, Florida,
situation down there,
Alabama, everybody in that. How about this? Everybody that was affected from this hurricane, and like you said, it sounds like there might be another one coming pretty soon. So
this is as bad as Katrina was back. 19 years ago?
Yeah. When I went, we visited Miami when the big one went through Miami about 30 years ago. And, man, let me tell you something. It's
Hurricane Andrew.
Andrew. I went through, and when I saw Andrew,
that's where Homestead Speedway is.
Absolutely. We drove through Andrew on our way to Key West, Florida, literally just a week after the hurricane, or 2 weeks after they went through, and
wow,
I'd never seen destruction like that. I mean, you know, it was terrible. So, yeah, prayers out. Thoughts from everybody, from Racing Boys to everybody who was affected by this. You know, don't be afraid to ask. I know some people are still, you know, too proud to borrow, beg, and whatever. But man, if you
say it's always worse in person when you see it than what the video shows.
Yeah, no, nothing. It's like I said, it's like the Grand Canyon. You can describe something to somebody until you see it in person. You don't.
I mean, they're cut off from the world.
Yeah,
they can't. The roads got all, and the power lines, the whole infrastructure, everything is
one
gone.
One of the rivers shifted 50 feet. The whole river.
Yeah.
just shifted 50 feet to a new area.
I mean, it's not like you can just put up power lines again
no.
and everything's going to be okay. This is going to take months and
months.
years.
Yeah. Oh, there'll be years for it. And like you said, from what I've been hearing, they might go ahead and just start blasting new roads in some of the mountains, because it's easier just to blast a new road than to try to get something in to move what they were doing. So it's literally just like, we're still at the beginning stages of this thing where they're trying to figure out everything. So
we
like
don't
you
know
said,
the death toll yet.
Yeah, we don't know.
It could be the thousands.
It very well could be.
I mean, that's how bad this is.
And a lot of people don't know.
Horrific.
It's terrible down there.
And the Appalachian Mountains as well.
40 highway and 26 highways been closed down as well.
The Appalachians, the people who live in those mountains, a lot of them are off the grid guys. They're not. People don't know that they're even there.
They can't get communication out. They can't. There's no cell towers. You can't.
Hundreds of people have died.
Yeah, well, it's going to get in the thousands. I'm afraid.
I think so.
I'm afraid
it's just a horrible situation.
I mean, you lost a few towns, so yeah, it's sad. We talk racing every week, but there's real life.
We're thinking about.
Yeah,
what can we do? I suppose donate to good cause of Red Cross.
Yeah, Red Cross is
Samaritan's Purse. There's other organizations that
make sure you donate.
Out.
Yeah, make sure you donate to a reputable one. Make sure you check out everything. Don't just start giving money to, because there's a lot of bad folks that use this type of opportunity to take advantage of making money. They're just
going to need a lot of help from a lot of people to get through this.
Like you said, there's no way to reach out to these people right now. It's not that right now. So it's basically Red Cross and all your local charities. That's your best bet right now. So like you said, it's a tough time. Hopefully this next one will go in a completely different path, so you're not dealing with back-to-back smacks, because
that would be devastating.
This hurricane hit the coast so hard, the storm surge and everything was it was such a powerful storm when it hit land.
Yeah. And the problem with North Carolina, they'd received so much rain already that their ground was saturated. They had the sponge was completely full.
Yeah.
So everything was just going to be runoff, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like anything was, so that's why there was water in places that they'd never seen water. I mean, that's just the reality of what's going on. But
finish up with a couple of other racing notes. Talladega, we talked about that. They are racing across the street there at the Talladega Short Track. The Hunt the Front Series is winding up its season, and Ethan Dotson won the feature event last night at the Talladega Short Track. Trey Mills and Michael Page in your top three. Also had Mars late models at Fairbury Speedway as they close out the season up there. Brian Shirley continues his great season. He won the feature event. They'll do it again at Fairbury tonight.
I got to say goodbye to my daughter.
Hello, is it Tori?
Hello and
Tori.
Hello and goodbye.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. For Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying we'll see you next week right here on
See
Track
you Monday.
Talk. We'll see you Monday.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
We always argue, baby, never to the end. And when it's over, you always win. Now I'm sitting and thinking, and I'm worrying. I got the nerve, so baby, where you been? I let you live, but you let me go.